23 years of secrets. One chance encounter. A moment that would change 3 lives forever. When Michael Jordan stepped onto Navy Pier that October afternoon, he was just looking for a quiet moment by Lake Michigan. He never expected to see the woman who had vanished from his life He certainly never expected to meet the teenage girl with Down syndrome, who would turn out to be the most important person he never knew existed. Sometimes the most extraordinary stories begin with the simplest words. Hi there. I hear you're a fan. The October wind off Lake Michigan cut through Michael Jordan's jacket as he walked across the parking lot at Navy Pier. At 56, he still moved with the grace of an athlete, but today he kept his head down. The black baseball cap and dark sunglasses weren't enough to hide who he was. Mr. Jordan, we should use the back entrance, said Marcus, his head of security. Marcus was a big man who had worked with Michael for 8 years. He knew how quickly a quiet afternoon could turn into chaos. It's fine, Michael said. I want to see the lake before we head to the hospital. 3 other security guards walked around them. They formed a loose circle, watching the crowds. It was a Tuesday afternoon in October. Most kids were in school, so the pier wasn't too busy, just some tourists and families with young children. Michael had been in Chicago for 2 days. Tomorrow, he would visit the Children's Hospital for the 3rd time this year. The kids there always made him smile. They didn't care about his basketball records or his money. They just wanted to hear stories and get high fives. As they walked toward the big Ferris wheel, Michael felt his phone buzz. He pulled it out and saw a text from his assistant. Hospital called. They're excited about your visit tomorrow. One patient has been asking about you all week. A 16-year-old girl. Michael smiled. Kids that age were often too cool to get excited about meeting adults. This girl must really love basketball. The smell of popcorn and cotton candy filled the air. Street musicians played near the entrance to the pier. A small crowd had gathered to watch a man playing guitar and singing old songs. Michael stopped to listen for a moment. Everything okay, boss? Asked Tony, another guard. Yeah, just listening. The guitarist was singing Lean on Me. It was one of Michael's father's favorite songs. For a moment, he was back in North Carolina listening to his dad hum that tune while working in the yard. Michael's phone buzzed again. This time it was his wife, Yvette. How's Chicago? Kids miss you. He typed back, good. Miss you too. Home Thursday. As he put his phone away, something made him look up. Maybe it was the sound of laughter. Happy laughter that cut through all the other noise on the pier. About 50 feet away near the railing that looked out over the lake, a woman and a teenage girl were feeding seagulls. The girl was clapping her hands with pure joy every time the birds came close. Her laughter was the sound he had heard. The woman looked familiar, but Michael couldn't place her. She had gray streaks in her brown hair and wore simple jeans and a blue jacket. She was pointing at something on the water, probably a boat. The girl followed her finger and clapped again. Michael found himself walking closer. There was something about the scene that drew him in. The woman and girl seemed so happy together, so peaceful. In his world of meetings and cameras and constant noise, their quiet moment felt special. Sir? Marcus noticed that Michael had changed direction. Where are we going? Michael didn't answer. He was studying the woman's face. She looked like someone he used to know, but it had been so many years. Could it? The girl turned slightly, and Michael got a better look at her. She had Down syndrome. He realized she was beautiful, with bright eyes and a smile that could light up the whole pier. Something about her face seemed familiar too, but that was impossible. He had never met her before. The woman must have felt someone watching. She turned around and looked right at Michael. Time stopped. Michael's heart began to pound. It was her. After 23 years, it was really her. Karla Knafel. She looked older, of course. They both did. But her eyes were the same. Those warm brown eyes that used to look at him like he was just a regular person, not Michael Jordan, the basketball star. For a moment, neither of them moved. The sounds of Navy Pier faded away. The tourists, the seagulls, the music, everything disappeared except the two of them and 23 years of silence. Karla's face went pale. Her hand moved to her throat, like she couldn't breathe. The girl noticed something was wrong. She stopped clapping and looked at her mom with concern. Mom? Are you okay? That word mom hit Michael like a punch to the stomach. Karla was a mother. Of course she was. She had moved on, built a life, found happiness. He was happy for her. But it also made his chest tight with an emotion he couldn't name. "I'm fine, sweetie," Karla said, but her voice was shaky. She pulled the girl closer to her side. Michael took a step forward. His security team moved with him, but he held up a hand to tell them to stay back. The girl saw him coming and her eyes went wide. She grabbed Karla's arm and pointed. Mom, that's Michael Jordan." Her voice was loud enough that other people on the pier started to turn and look. Michael heard the familiar whispers start. "Is that really him? Should we ask for a picture? Oh my God, it's Michael Jordan." But he didn't care about the other people. He only cared about the woman and girl in front of him. Karla was staring at him with a mix of shock and something that might have been fear. The girl was practically bouncing with excitement. "Hi," Michael said when he reached them. It was such a simple word, but it took all his courage to say it. "Hi," Karla whispered back. The girl looked between them, confused by the strange tension in the air. "Mom, do you know him?" Before Karla could answer, Michael's phone rang. The sound cut through the moment like a knife. He looked down at the screen. It was Dr. Martinez from the Children's Hospital. Michael looked back up at Karla. She was watching him with those same brown eyes, waiting to see what he would do. Behind them, tourists were starting to gather. Someone had pulled out a camera. In a few minutes, this quiet moment would turn into a circus. Michael had a choice to make. He could answer the phone, let his security team move him away from the growing crowd, and pretend this meeting never happened. It would be the safe thing to do, the smart thing. Or he could do something else, something that would surprise everyone watching, something that might change everything. The phone rang again. Michael looked at Karla one more time. Then he looked at the girl, her daughter, who was watching with such hope and excitement in her eyes. He made his choice. Michael Jordan turned off his phone and put it back in his pocket. Then he walked straight toward the two most important people he never expected to see again. 24 years earlier, June, the ballroom at the Palmer House Hotel was packed with Chicago's most important people. Everyone was there for the Bulls Foundation charity dinner. Michael Jordan had just led his team to their third NBA championship 2 weeks ago. The whole city was still celebrating. Michael stood at the front of the room in his black tuxedo. He had given the same speech 100 times before. Thank the donors. Talk about helping kids. Smile for the cameras. But tonight felt different somehow. "Basketball has given me so much," Michael said into the microphone. "Now I want to give back to the children of Chicago." The crowd clapped. Cameras flashed. Michael looked out at all the fancy dresses and expensive suits. These people would write big checks tonight. The money would help a lot of kids. That was what mattered. But as he spoke, his eyes found someone in the crowd who didn't look like the others. A young woman in a simple black dress stood near the back of the room. She wasn't trying to get his attention like everyone else. She was just listening. When the speech ended, Michael was surrounded by people wanting pictures and autographs. He smiled and signed basketballs and programs. But he kept looking for the woman in the simple dress. "Great speech, Michael," said Mrs. Henderson, the wife of a big donor. "My grandson loves you so much." "Thank you," Michael said. "That means a lot." Finally, he saw her again. She was talking to one of the event workers near the silent auction table. Michael excused himself from the group around him and walked over. "Excuse me," he said. "I'm Michael Jordan." The woman turned around and smiled. She had warm brown eyes and a kind face. "I know who you are. I'm Karla Knafel. I work for the event company that put this dinner together." "You did a great job," Michael said. "Everything looks perfect." "Thank you. Though I think people are really here to see you, not my flower arrangements." Michael laughed. It was the first real laugh he'd had all evening. "The flowers are beautiful. But I have to ask, what did you think of my speech?" Most people would have said it was amazing or perfect. Karla thought for a moment. "It was good," she said. "But you sounded a little tired, like you've given that same speech many times before." Michael was surprised. No one ever criticized anything he did in public. "You're right. I have given it many times. Maybe next time you could tell a story instead, about one specific kid you've helped. People remember stories better than facts." "That's really good advice. Are you in public relations?" No, I'm in event planning. But I watch people. I see what makes them pay attention and what makes them tune out. They talked for another 10 minutes. Karla was easy to talk to. She didn't ask about basketball or want anything from him. She just talked to him like he was a regular person. I should get back to work, she said finally. The auction ends in an hour and I need to make sure everything runs smoothly. Of course. Maybe I could call you sometime? I'd like to hear more of your ideas about public speaking. Karla smiled. I'd like that. She wrote her phone number on a napkin and handed it to him. But fair warning, I don't know much about basketball. That's okay. I don't know much about flower arrangements. 3 days later, Michael called her. They met for coffee at a small cafe in Lincoln Park, far from downtown where someone might recognize him. Karla was going through a divorce. She told him her husband had left her for someone younger. She was trying to rebuild her life and figure out what came next. I'm sorry, Michael said. That must be really hard. It is. But maybe it's for the best. We weren't happy for a long time. Michael found himself telling her things he didn't usually share with people. About the pressure of being famous. About how hard it was to know if people liked him for himself or for being Michael Jordan. I think most people would like you even if you weren't famous, Karla said. You're funny and smart, and you actually listen when people talk, which is rarer than you might think. Over the next few months, they became friends. Real friends. They would meet for coffee or lunch whenever Michael was in town. They talked about books and movies and life. Karla never asked for tickets to games or wanted to meet other players. She just wanted to be his friend. Michael's marriage to Juanita was having problems. The constant travel and media attention put stress on their relationship. He and Karla never talked about it directly, but she seemed to understand that his life wasn't as perfect as it looked from the outside. Do you ever wish you could just be normal? Karla asked him one afternoon in September. They were walking through Lincoln Park, watching kids play on the playground. All the time, Michael said. Sometimes I think about what it would be like to walk into a store without everyone staring, or to have dinner without people asking for autographs. But you love basketball. I do. I love the game. I love my teammates. I love winning. But the rest of it, he shrugged. It's the price I pay. By November, their friendship had become something more complicated. They both knew it, but neither of them said it out loud. Michael was dealing with grief over his father's death 2 years earlier. The pain still felt fresh sometimes. Karla was still working through her divorce and trying to figure out her future. One rainy night in early December, after a particularly hard loss to the Knicks, Michael called Karla. "Are you okay?" she asked. She could always tell when something was wrong just by the sound of his voice. "Can I see you? I know it's late." "Of course. Come over." He went to her small apartment in Old Town. She made him tea and listened while he talked about the game, about the pressure, about everything that was weighing on his heart. "I feel like I'm letting everyone down," he said. "The team, the fans, my family." "You're not letting anyone down," Karla said. "You're human. Humans have bad days." She sat next to him on her couch. The rain kept falling outside. For the first time in months, Michael felt peaceful. That was the night everything changed between them. They both knew it was a mistake even as it happened. Michael was married. Karla was still technically married too, even though she was separated. But sometimes people make choices with their hearts instead of their heads. The next morning, they both felt terrible about it. "This can't happen again," Karla said. "I know," Michael agreed. "I'm sorry. I should go." But it did happen again. 3 more times over the next month. Each time they promised it would be the last time. Each time they felt worse about it afterward. Finally, in early January 1996, Karla told him they had to stop seeing each other completely. "This isn't fair to anyone," she said. "Not to your wife, not to my ex-husband, not to us." Michael knew she was right, but it hurt to hear her say it. "I care about you," he said. "I care about you too. That's why we have to end this before we do something we can't take back." They met one last time at their usual cafe in Lincoln Park. It was supposed to be goodbye. They sat across from each other, drinking coffee and trying to figure out how to say farewell. That's when Karla told him something that would change both their lives forever. "Michael," she said, her voice shaking. "There's something I need to tell you. Something important." His phone rang before she could continue. The caller ID showed Juanita. Michael looked at Karla, then at his phone. It kept ringing. "Answer it," Karla said quietly. Michael picked up the phone. "Hi, honey. Where are you?" Juanita's voice was sharp. "You were supposed to pick up Jeffrey from practice an hour ago. I'm sorry. I lost track of time. I'll be right there." When he hung up, Karla was putting on her coat. "What did you want to tell me?" he asked. "It can wait," she said. "Go take care of your family." But as Michael watched her walk away, he had the feeling that whatever she wanted to say was going to change everything. 2 weeks later, January, Karla sat in her bathroom at 6 in the morning staring at the little plastic stick in her hands. 2 pink lines. She had taken 3 tests, and they all showed the same thing. She was pregnant. Her hands were shaking as she set the test on the counter next to the other 2. Part of her had known for a week. She had been feeling sick in the mornings and was more tired than usual, but she had hoped it was just stress from the divorce. Now she knew the truth. Karla looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was pale and her eyes were red from crying. How could this have happened? They had been so careful. Well, mostly careful. She thought about that night in December when Michael had come to her apartment after the bad game. They had both been emotional. Neither of them was thinking clearly. Now everything was different. Karla got dressed and went to work, but she couldn't focus on anything. Her boss asked her 3 times if she was feeling okay. She kept making mistakes on simple tasks she had done hundreds of times before. That afternoon, she called Michael's office. His assistant answered. "Hi, this is Karla Knafel. Is Michael available?" "I'm sorry, he's in practice right now. Can I take a message?" Karla almost hung up. How do you leave a message about something like this? "Could you please tell him I called?" "It's important." "Of course. I'll give him the message as soon as he's done." Michael didn't call back that day. Or the next day. Karla knew he was busy with the season, but she was starting to panic. She needed to talk to someone. But who? She couldn't tell her friends or family. This secret was too dangerous. Finally, on the 3rd day, Michael called. "Hi, Karla. Sorry I couldn't call sooner. We had back-to-back games, and then I had to fly to New York for some meetings." "How are you?" "I need to see you," Karla said. "It's important." "Is everything okay? You sound upset." "I can't talk about it over the phone. Can we meet somewhere?" Michael was quiet for a moment. "I thought we agreed it was better if we didn't see each other anymore." "This is different, Michael. Please." They met the next evening at a small restaurant outside the city. Michael wore a baseball cap and sat in a corner booth where no one would recognize him. Karla got there first and waited, her stomach in knots. When she saw him walk in, her heart started beating faster. Even after everything, she still felt something when she saw him. "Hi," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Hi. Thank you for coming. What's going on? You look worried." Karla had practiced what she would say, but now that he was sitting in front of her, all her words disappeared. "I don't know how to tell you this," she said finally. Michael reached across the table and touched her hand. "Just tell me. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air between them. Michael's face went completely white. He pulled his hand back and leaned against the booth. "Are you sure?" "I took 3 tests. They were all positive." Michael put his head in his hands. "Oh God. Karla, I'm so sorry." "You're sorry?" Karla's voice got louder. "That's all you can say?" "I don't know what else to say. This is..." He looked around to make sure no one was listening. "This is a disaster." The word hit Karla like a slap. A disaster. That's how he saw their baby. "I know the timing is terrible," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "But maybe we can figure something out." "Figure what out?" "Karla, I'm married. I have kids. The season is in the middle of a playoff push. If this gets out, it will destroy everything. I'm not asking you to leave your wife. I'm just asking you to help me figure out what to do." Michael was quiet for a long time. When he finally looked up, his eyes were cold in a way Karla had never seen before. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to care. I want you to act like this matters to you." "Of course it matters to me. But you have to understand my situation." "What about my situation?" "I'm going through a divorce. I don't have any money. I work for an event company that could fire me if there's any scandal. I'll help you financially. Whatever you need." Karla felt like he had slapped her again. "You think this is about money? Isn't it?" She stood up from the table. "I can't believe you just said that." "Karla, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I'm just scared." She sat back down, but she felt like she was sitting across from a stranger. "I'm scared too, Michael, but we're in this together. Are we? Because it feels like this is something that's happening to me, not something we're dealing with together." That comment broke something inside Karla. She realized that the man she thought she knew, the one who had been kind and vulnerable with her, was gone. In his place was Michael Jordan, the celebrity, worried about protecting his image. They talked for another hour, but it didn't help. Michael kept saying he needed time to think. He kept asking what her plans were, but he never once asked how she was feeling or what she wanted. When they left the restaurant, Michael hugged her goodbye, but it felt empty. "I'll call you in a few days," he said. "Okay." But as Karla drove home, she knew something had changed forever. The man who had held her while she cried, who had shared his fears and dreams with her, was gone. The father of her baby was a stranger who saw her pregnancy as a problem to solve. Over the next few weeks, Michael called 3 times. Each conversation was awkward and businesslike. He asked about doctor appointments and whether she needed money. But he never asked about the baby. He never asked about her. The Bulls were doing well in the playoffs. Michael's picture was on the front page of the sports section almost every day. Karla would see him smiling and celebrating with his teammates, and she felt completely alone. One night in March, she called him after a particularly hard day. She had been to the doctor and heard the baby's heartbeat for the first time. She wanted to share that moment with someone. "Hi, Michael, it's me." "Hi. Is everything okay?" "I went to the doctor today. Everything looks good. The baby is healthy." "That's good." There was a long silence. "Michael, I heard the heartbeat today. It was amazing." "That's nice, Karla. Listen, I'm actually in the middle of something. Can I call you back?" "Sure." He didn't call back that night. Or the next day. That's when Karla realized she was completely on her own. 2 weeks later, she woke up in the middle of the night with terrible stomach pains. She drove herself to the emergency room, praying the whole way that everything would be okay. "I'm sorry," she said gently. "You've had a miscarriage. The baby is gone." Karla cried harder than she had ever cried in her life. All the fear and uncertainty and loneliness of the past few months came pouring out. When she got home the next morning, she called Michael's office. "I'm sorry. He's in a playoff meeting. Can I take a message? Please tell him I called. Tell him it's about the baby. I'll make sure he gets the message." Michael didn't call back until the next day. "Hi, Karla. I got your message. What's wrong?" "I lost the baby, Michael. I had a miscarriage." There was a long pause. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "Are you okay?" "No, I'm not okay. I just lost our baby and I had to deal with it all by myself. I'm sorry I wasn't there. The playoffs are crazy right now and—" "Stop," Karla said. "Just stop." She was tired of his excuses. Tired of feeling like she didn't matter. "I think it's better if we don't talk anymore," she said. Maybe that's for the best. Those words hurt more than anything else he could have said. Maybe that's for the best. Like losing their baby was convenient for him. "Goodbye, Michael." "Goodbye, Karla." But as Karla hung up the phone, she realized she hadn't told him everything. There was one more secret she was keeping. Something the doctors had told her that would change everything. Something she would never tell him. 1996, 2019, 23 years later. After that last phone call with Michael, Karla disappeared. Karla drove north to Milwaukee. She had visited there once as a child with her grandmother. She remembered it being quiet and peaceful. A place where she could start over. She found a small apartment near the lake and got a job at a local hospital doing patient services. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills. More importantly, it was work that mattered. She helped families navigate the scary world of medical care. For the first year, Karla didn't watch basketball. She couldn't. Every time she saw Michael's face on TV, her heart would break all over again. She knew the Bulls won another championship that year. Everyone at work talked about it, but Karla always changed the subject. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Michael Jordan was becoming a legend. He won 3 more championships with the Bulls. His face was on every magazine cover. He made movies and commercials. He became the most famous athlete in the world. But sometimes, late at night after games, Michael would think about Karla. He wondered if she was okay. He wondered if she had recovered from the miscarriage. A few times, he almost called information to try to find her number, but he never did. In 1999, Michael retired from basketball for the second time. He married Yvette Prio in 2013. He had more children. He bought the Charlotte Hornets basketball team. His life was full and successful, but there was always a small part of him that wondered about the woman who had seen him as just Michael. Not Michael Jordan. The woman who had given him good advice about his speeches. The woman who had made him laugh during one of the hardest times of his life. Karla's life in Milwaukee was different, but meaningful. She went back to school and became a licensed social worker. She specialized in helping families with special needs children. The work was hard, but rewarding. In 2001, Karla met Dr. Sarah Chen at the hospital. Sarah was a pediatrician who worked with children who had disabilities. She and Karla became close friends. "You're so good with these families," Sarah told her one day. "You understand their pain in a way most people don't." Sarah was right. Karla did understand. She knew what it felt like to lose something precious. She knew how it felt to be alone when you needed help the most. In 2003, Dr. Chen told Karla about a special case. A baby girl had been born with Down syndrome. The birth parents were very young and felt they couldn't provide the care she would need. The baby needed a loving home. "Would you consider adoption?" Sarah asked. "I know you'd be a wonderful mother." Karla's first reaction was fear. She was 35 years old and single. Could she really raise a child by herself? But when she met baby Maya for the first time, something magical happened. The little girl looked up at Karla with bright, curious eyes and smiled. It was love at first sight. The adoption process took 6 months. During that time, Karla visited Maya every day at the foster home. She fed her bottles and changed her diapers. She read to her and sang lullabies. When Maya was 8 months old, Karla finally brought her home. Being a single mother was the hardest thing Karla had ever done. Maya needed extra medical care because of her Down syndrome. There were doctor appointments and therapy sessions and special education meetings. But Maya was also the most joyful child Karla had ever known. She laughed at everything. She loved music and dancing. She was curious about the world and asked a million questions about everything she saw. As Maya grew up, she developed some interesting habits. She loved watching sports on TV, especially basketball. When she was 5, she saw Michael Jordan highlights on ESPN and became fascinated. "Mom, who is that man?" Maya asked, pointing at the TV. "That's Michael Jordan. He used to play basketball. He's really good. Look how high he can jump." Karla's heart skipped a beat, but she tried to act normal. "Yes, he was one of the best players ever." Maya became obsessed with Michael Jordan videos. She would watch his highlights over and over. She learned all his statistics and could recite facts about his career. "Did you know Michael Jordan scored 63 points in a playoff game?" Maya would tell anyone who would listen. "Did you know he won 6 championships? Did you know he could stick his tongue out and still make the shot?" Karla found Maya's obsession both wonderful and painful. She was proud that her daughter admired someone who was genuinely a good person. Michael Jordan did a lot of charity work with children. He seemed to be a good father to his own kids. But every time Maya talked about Michael, Karla felt a mix of emotions she couldn't explain. Pride, sadness, and something that felt like longing. Sometimes Maya would notice how her mom reacted to Michael Jordan stories. "Mom, do you like Michael Jordan too?" Maya asked. When she was 10, "Sure, honey. He seems like a nice man. You always get quiet when I talk about him. Do you think he's sad?" "What do you mean?" "In interviews he smiles a lot, but his eyes look sad sometimes. Like he misses something." Maya's observation surprised Karla. Her daughter saw things that other people missed. It was one of her special gifts. Over the years, Maya's love for Michael Jordan never faded. She had posters of him in her room. She wore his jersey number when she played basketball at the Special Recreation Center. She dreamed of meeting him someday. "Mom, do you think if I wrote him a letter, he would write back?" Maya asked when she was 12. "Maybe, sweetie. He gets a lot of letters though. But mine would be special. I would tell him about all the things I learned about being brave from watching him play. Karla's throat got tight. What things did you learn? That you have to keep trying even when you miss shots. That you have to help your teammates. That you should never give up, even when you're losing. Those were good lessons, Karla thought. Maybe Michael Jordan had become the man she always hoped he could be. In 2015, when Maya was 12, she came home from school with an announcement. "Mom, I want to go to Chicago someday. I want to see where Michael Jordan played." "That's a nice dream, honey." "No. I mean, really, can we save money for a trip? I want to see the United Center and maybe some other places he'd like to go." Karla felt panic rise in her chest. Going back to Chicago felt dangerous. What if someone recognized her? What if they somehow ran into Michael? But looking at Maya's hopeful face, Karla realized she couldn't keep running from the past forever. "We'll see, sweetheart. Maybe when you're older." Maya hugged her tight. "Thanks, Mom, you're the best." As Karla held her daughter, she thought about all the choices she had made over the past 19 years. She had built a good life in Milwaukee. She had raised an amazing daughter. She had found work that mattered, but she had also carried a secret for nearly 2 decades. A secret that got heavier every time Maya talked about wanting to meet her hero. A secret that, if Maya ever learned the truth, would change both their lives forever. The secret that Michael Jordan wasn't just Maya's hero. He was her father. July 2019. 3 months before Navy Pier. Maya was 16 now, and her questions were getting harder to answer. It started on a hot Saturday morning in July. Karla was making pancakes while Maya sat at the kitchen table, looking through old photo albums. It was something Maya did sometimes when she was bored or thinking about something. "Mom," Maya said, not looking up from the pictures. "How come we don't have any photos of you from before I came?" Karla's hand froze while she was flipping a pancake. "What do you mean, sweetie?" "Look." Maya held up the album. "All our pictures start from when I was a baby, but there's nothing of you before that. No pictures from when you were young, no friends, no family stuff." It was true. When Karla had moved to Milwaukee, she had left everything behind. Even the few photos she had from her childhood were still in a storage unit back in Chicago that she had never gone back to get. "I guess I wasn't very good at taking pictures back then," Karla said, trying to sound casual. Maya frowned. "But what about friends? Didn't you have friends who took pictures with you?" "Some people just don't take a lot of photos, Maya." But Maya wasn't satisfied with that answer. She had always been curious about everything. But lately her questions were more focused. More specific. That afternoon, they were watching TV together. A commercial came on with Michael Jordan advertising sneakers. Maya perked up immediately, like she always did. "Mom, you always smile differently when you see him," Maya said, watching Karla's face. "What do you mean? When other basketball players come on TV, you just watch normal. But when Michael Jordan comes on, you get this look, like you're thinking about something far away." Karla felt her cheeks get warm. She hadn't realized Maya noticed things like that. "I guess I just think he seems like a nice person," Karla said. "Yeah, but it's more than that. You get the same look when we drive past the church where Mr. Peterson used to work." Mr. Peterson had been their neighbor who died 2 years ago. Maya had loved him like a grandfather. "It's like you're remembering something that makes you happy and sad at the same time," Maya continued. Sometimes Maya's ability to read people amazed Karla. It was one of the special gifts that came with her Down syndrome. She could see emotions that other people missed. "Maybe I just think about what it would be like to meet someone famous," Karla said. Maya considered this. "Have you ever met anyone famous?" Not really. It wasn't exactly a lie. When she had known Michael, he was famous, but not like he became later. Back then, he was just a basketball player. She had met at a charity event. Over the next few weeks, Maya's questions continued. She wanted to know about Karla's childhood, her old friends, why they never visited family during holidays. Karla had always been honest with Maya about being adopted. She had explained that Maya's birth parents were very young and wanted her to have a better life. Maya had accepted this easily when she was little. But now that Maya was older, she was starting to think about identity in new ways. "Mom, do you think about your parents who died?" Maya asked one evening while they were doing dishes. Karla's parents had died in a car accident when she was 22. Maya knew this story. Sometimes, Karla said. Why? I think about my birth parents sometimes too. I wonder what they look like. If they think about me. Karla's heart squeezed. What do you wonder about them? Normal stuff. Like, do I have their eyes? Am I tall like my birth dad or short like my birth mom? Do they like basketball too? These were dangerous questions. Maya did have her father's eyes. She had his smile too, though she had never seen enough photos of young Michael to notice the similarity. Does it make you sad to think about them? Karla asked. Not sad exactly, just curious. It's like there's a piece of a puzzle missing, you know? Karla knew exactly what she meant. Maya had been missing the biggest piece of her puzzle her whole life. In August, Maya came home from summer day camp with big news. Mom, guess what? Miss Jennifer said we're going to do a project about heroes in September when school starts. Miss Jennifer was Maya's favorite teacher. She taught the life skills class that helps students with disabilities prepare for a dull life. That sounds fun. What kind of project? We get to pick someone we think is a hero and research them. Then we write a report and present it to the class. Karla smiled. Who are you thinking about choosing? Michael Jordan, Maya said immediately. I know so much about him already. But I want to learn new stuff too. Like about his personality and what he's like as a person. Not just as a basketball player. Karla felt the familiar mix of pride and panic. That's a great choice, honey. Miss Jennifer said we should try to learn about what makes our hero a good person. Not just what makes them famous. Over the next few weeks, Maya threw herself into research. She went to the library and checked out biography about Michael Jordan. She watched documentaries about his career. She took notes in her careful handwriting. Mom, did you know that Michael Jordan's dad was murdered when he was young? Maya asked one evening. Karla's breath caught. She had known about James Jordan's death, of course. It had happened right around the time she and Michael were becoming friends. That's very sad, Karla said. It is. But look what it says here. Maya read from her notebook. He says losing his father taught him to appreciate the people who love you while they're still here. Maya looked up from her notes. That's a good lesson, don't you think? Yes, it is. And look at this. Maya flipped to another page. He does a lot of work with kids who are sick or have disabilities. He visits hospitals and makes them laugh. Karla had heard about Michael's charity work over the years. It made her feel proud of the man he had become. He sounds like he grew up to be a good person, Karla said. Yeah, sometimes I wonder if famous people get lonely though, like do they wish they could just be normal sometimes? The question hit Karla like lightning. It was almost exactly what she had asked Michael all those years ago in Lincoln Park. What makes you think about that? Karla asked. I don't know. In some of his interviews he looks tired. Like being famous is hard work. Maya was so perceptive. She saw things in people that others missed. I think it probably is hard work, Karla agreed. But he still does it because he loves basketball and he wants to help people, right? I think so. Maya went back to her notes. She was writing everything by hand because their computer was old and slow. Her handwriting was neat and careful. She wanted everything to be perfect. Mom, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you ever wonder what it would be like if you met your hero? Like if you could meet anyone in the world, who would it be? Karla thought about this question. The truth was, she had already met her hero, and she had lost him. I'm not sure, she said finally. What about you? Michael Jordan, definitely. But I think I'd be nervous. What if he wasn't as nice as I think he is? What if meeting your hero is disappointing? Why do you think it might be disappointing? Because when you build someone up in your mind, they might not be able to live up to what you imagined. Maya was so wise for 16. Sometimes Karla forgot how thoughtful her daughter was about complex things. But Maya continued, I still think I'd want to try, even if it was scary. A few days later, Maya made an announcement that changed everything. Mom, I've been thinking. For my hero project, I want to do something special. What kind of special? I want to mail my finished report to Michael Jordan's office. Maybe he'll read it and write back to me. Karla felt the room spin. Maya, I'm sure he gets thousands of letters from fans. But mine will be different. It's not asking for anything. It's just telling him what I learned about being brave and kind by studying his life. Maya's eyes were shining with hope and excitement. What if he doesn't write back? Karla asked gently. Then at least I tried. But Mom, what if he does? What if Michael Jordan writes back to me? That would be the most amazing thing ever. As Karla looked at her daughter's hopeful face, she realized that Maya's hero project was going to force her to face the truth she had been hiding for 16 years. The truth that Michael Jordan wasn't just Maya's hero. He was her father, and he didn't even know she existed. August. September. Maya threw herself into her hero project with the same determination she brought to everything in her life. Every evening after dinner, she would spread her research materials across the kitchen table and work on her report. Karla would sit nearby, helping with dinner cleanup while watching her daughter write. Maya's handwriting was slow but careful. She wanted every word to be perfect. "Mom, listen to this," Maya said one evening, reading from a library book. "It says here that Michael Jordan failed to make his high school basketball team the first time he tried out." "Really? What happened?" "He was too short and not good enough yet. But instead of giving up, he practiced every day until he got better." Maya looked up from her book with shining eyes. "That's so cool. He didn't let one bad thing stop him from chasing his dream." Karla felt her heart squeeze. Maya had faced her own challenges in life because of her Down syndrome. Some kids at school had been mean to her when she was younger. But Maya never gave up either. "That is a good lesson," Karla agreed. "And look at this part." Maya flipped to another page. After his dad died, Michael Jordan almost quit basketball because he was so sad. But then he realized his dad would want him to keep playing. Karla remembered how devastated Michael had been about his father's death. It was one of the things that had brought them together back then. He had needed someone to talk to about his grief. "He must have loved his father very much," Karla said softly. "Yeah, and now he tries to be a good dad to his own kids. It says here that he coaches their basketball teams and goes to all their school events." Maya was reading about Michael's current family. Karla felt a strange mix of emotions. She was happy that Michael had become a good father. But it also hurt to think about the father Maya had never known. "Mom, did you know he has kids with special needs too?" Karla looked up quickly. "What do you mean?" "Well, not exactly special needs. But it says here that he works a lot with kids who have disabilities. He visits hospitals and special schools. Look." Maya showed Karla a photo from one of her books. It showed Michael Jordan sitting on the floor with a group of children in wheelchairs, all of them laughing at something he was saying. "He looks happy there," Maya observed, "like he really enjoys being with those kids." "He does look happy," Karla agreed. "I bet he would be nice to kids like me," Maya said matter-of-factly. The comment made Karla's eyes water. Maya didn't say it sadly or with self-pity. She just stated it as a fact. She understood that she was different, but she also believed people could be kind to her anyway. "I'm sure he would be very nice to you," Karla said. Over the next few weeks, Maya's research expanded beyond just basketball statistics. She was learning about Michael Jordan as a person. "Mom, did you know he lost a lot of money one time because he trusted the wrong people with his business?" "I didn't know that. But instead of being bitter about it, he learned from his mistakes and became smarter about money. Now he owns a whole basketball team." Maya was fascinated by stories of people overcoming setbacks. Maybe because she had faced setbacks in her own life. "And look at this," Maya continued, reading from her notebook. "He says in an interview that the most important thing in life is loyalty. Being loyal to your friends and family." "Yeah." He says some people only wanted to be his friend because he was famous. But the real friends were the ones who liked him before he was a superstar. Karla felt a chill run down her spine. She had been one of those people who liked Michael before he became a global icon. At least, she thought she had been. "Do you think famous people can tell who their real friends are?" Maya asked. "I think it's probably hard sometimes. I would want to be someone's friend for the right reasons," Maya said seriously. "Not because they're famous, but because they're a good person." Maya worked on her project every night for 3 weeks. She made charts showing Michael Jordan's basketball achievements. She wrote about his charity work. She included quotes from interviews where he talked about working hard and never giving up. But the part of the project Maya was most proud of was her final section. She called it "What Michael Jordan Taught Me About Life." "Mom, can I read you what I wrote?" Maya asked one evening. "Of course, honey." Maya cleared her throat and read in her careful voice. "Michael Jordan taught me that failure is just practice for success. When he didn't make his high school team, he could have quit. But he kept practicing because he believed in his dream. He taught me that family is the most important thing. Even when he was the most famous athlete in the world, he always talked about his parents and how much they meant to him. He taught me that helping other people makes you a true champion. He uses his fame to help kids who are sick or need extra support. That's more important than any trophy. Most of all, he taught me that being different can make you special. He was different from other basketball players because he worked harder and cared more. I am different too, but that doesn't mean I can't do great things. I hope someday I can meet Michael Jordan and tell him thank you for showing me how to be brave. When Maya finished reading, Karla had tears in her eyes. Do you really think so? I think it's the best school project I've ever heard. Maya beamed with pride. I can't wait to read it to my class. And I can't wait to mail it to Michael Jordan. That last comment brought Karla back to reality. Maya was still planning to send her report to Michael's office. Maya, honey, we should talk about that. About mailing your report. I just don't want you to be disappointed if he doesn't write back. Maya's face fell a little. You don't think he'll read it? I'm sure his office gets hundreds of letters every day. He probably has people who read his mail for him. But mine is special. It's not asking for money or autographs or anything. It's just saying thank you. Maya was quiet for a moment, thinking, Mom, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think I shouldn't mail it because you're worried about protecting my feelings? Or do you think there's another reason? Sometimes Maya's directness caught Karla off guard. Her daughter was asking if Karla had other reasons for not wanting to contact Michael Jordan. I just want to protect your feelings, Karla said. It wasn't exactly a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. But Mom, you always tell me that trying is better than wondering. You tell me that when I'm scared to do something new. Maya was right. Karla did tell her that. It was one of the lessons she had tried to teach Maya about facing challenges. You're right, Karla said slowly. I do tell you that. So maybe I should try, even if it's scary. Karla looked at her daughter's hopeful face. Maya had worked so hard on this project. She had put her heart into every word. How could Karla take that hope away from her? Okay, Karla said finally. We can mail your report when it's finished. Maya threw her arms around Karla's neck. Thank you, Mom. This is going to be so exciting. But as Maya hugged her, Karla felt a cold fear in her stomach. What if Michael's office actually did forward Maya's letter to him? What if he read it and somehow realized who she was? Maya pulled back from the hug. Mom, I just had the best idea. What's that? What if we don't just mail the report? What if we take a trip to Chicago and I can give it to him in person? Karla felt the world tilt sideways. What? Think about it. We could visit all the places I wrote about in my report, the United Center where he played, maybe some of the hospitals where he does charity work. And maybe if we're really lucky, we could actually meet him. Maya's eyes were shining with excitement. She had no idea she was asking to meet her own father. Maya, that's a very big trip, and very expensive. We could save up. I have money from my summer job at the day camp. And you always said we could visit Chicago someday when I was older. It was true. Karla had said that, thinking someday was far in the future. Please, Mom, this could be the adventure of a lifetime. Karla looked at her daughter's eager face. Maya had worked so hard on this project. She had learned so much. And she was asking for something that, deep down, might be exactly what they both needed. Maybe it was time to stop running from the past. Let me think about it, Karla said. Really? You'll really think about it? Yes, I'll really think about it. Maya hugged her again. This is going to be the best project ever. As Karla held her daughter, she realized Maya was right. It was going to be the most important project of both their lives. September. For 3 days. After Maya's request, Karla couldn't sleep. She would lie in bed at night staring at the ceiling, thinking about Chicago, about going back to the city where everything had changed, about the possibility of seeing Michael again. Part of her was terrified. What if they ran into him? What if Maya somehow figured out the truth? What if the past 23 years of careful secrets all came crashing down? But another part of her was curious. What had Michael become as a person? Was he the kind father Maya had read about in her research? Had he grown into the man she had always hoped he could be? On Thursday morning, Maya came to breakfast with her finished report in her hands. She had written 22 pages by hand. with neat diagrams and carefully copied quotes. "It's done, Mom," Maya announced proudly. "Want to see the final version?" Karla took the report and read through it slowly. Maya's writing was simple but powerful. She had captured something true about what made Michael Jordan special beyond basketball. "This is incredible, Maya. You should be very proud of yourself. Thanks." So, Maya sat down across from Karla at the kitchen table. "Have you thought about Chicago?" Karla had been dreading this conversation. But looking at Maya's hopeful face, she realized she couldn't keep saying no forever. "I've been thinking about it," Karla said carefully. "And it's a big trip, sweetie. Chicago is an expensive city. Hotels, food, transportation." Maya's face fell a little, but she didn't give up. "What if we made it a short trip? Just a weekend? We could drive there and stay at one of those budget motels." "Maya, please, Mom. I've never asked for anything this big before. And I worked so hard on this project." It was true. Maya rarely asked for big things. She was happy with simple pleasures: a new book, a movie night, ice cream after dinner. This trip meant everything to her. "What would we do there?" Karla asked. Maya's eyes lit up. She had obviously been planning this. "We could visit the United Center and see the Michael Jordan statue. We could walk around downtown and see the skyline. Maybe visit some of the places where he did charity work." Maya paused, then added quietly, "And maybe we could go to Navy Pier. I've always wanted to see Lake Michigan." Navy Pier, the place where Karla had walked with Michael all those years ago, where they had taught about dreams and fears and the future. "Why Navy Pier?" Karla asked. "I read that Michael Jordan likes to go there sometimes when he's in Chicago. It's quiet and he can think. Plus, I've never seen a lake that big before." Karla's heart was racing. The chances of actually running into Michael at Navy Pier were tiny. Chicago was a huge city with millions of people. It would be like winning the lottery. But still, the idea scared her. "Mom, are you okay? You look worried." "I'm just thinking about all the details." Maya reached across the table and took Karla's hand. "I know it's a lot of money and planning, but this feels really important to me. Like something I need to do." There was something in Maya's voice that surprised Karla. A seriousness that was unusual for her cheerful daughter. "What do you mean? Need to do?" Maya was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "I've been thinking a lot about my birth parents lately. Wondering about them, and I know I'll probably never meet them or learn about them." Karla felt her stomach drop. "But Michael Jordan feels like family to me, in a weird way. Like he's taught me things about life that a parent would teach their kid." Does that make sense? It made perfect sense, and it broke Karla's heart. "So going to Chicago and seeing where he played and maybe meeting him, it feels like something I need to do to understand myself better." "It doesn't sound silly at all, honey." Karla realized in that moment that Maya wasn't just asking for a fun trip. She was asking for something deeper. A connection to something that felt like family, even if she didn't understand why. How could Karla say no to that? "Okay," Karla said quietly. "Okay, what?" "Okay, we can go to Chicago." Maya screamed with joy and jumped up to hug Karla. "Really? Really, really? When can we go? Next weekend?" "The weekend after that?" Karla laughed despite her nervousness. "Let me look at our schedule and see what we can afford. Maybe in October?" "October would be perfect. The weather won't be too hot or too cold." Maya was practically bouncing with excitement. "I can't believe we're really going to do this." Over the next few days, Maya threw herself into planning their trip. She researched hotels and found a budget place near downtown. She made lists of all the places she wanted to visit. She even looked up restaurants that served Michael Jordan's favorite foods. "Did you know he loves Italian food?" Maya told Karla. "Maybe we could eat at an Italian restaurant while we're there." On Saturday, Maya made an announcement that surprised Karla. "Mom, I've been thinking about something." "What's that?" "Instead of mailing my report to Michael Jordan's office, I want to bring it with me to Chicago. Maybe I can find a way to give it to him in person." "I know. But what if we don't try to find him? What if we just go to the places that were important to him, and if we happen to see him, then it was meant to be?" There was wisdom in Maya's approach. She wasn't expecting guarantees. She was just hoping for possibilities. "That sounds like a good plan," Karla agreed. "And Mom, Even if we don't meet him, I think the trip will still be amazing. Just seeing Chicago and spending time together. Maya hugged Karla tightly. Thank you for saying yes. I know this is scary for you. What makes you think it's scary for me? Maya pulled back and looked at Karla with those perceptive eyes. You get the same look when you think about Chicago that you get when you think about Grandma and Grandpa. Like you're remembering something that was important but also hurt. Sometimes Maya saw too much. Maybe Chicago does remind me of some things from the past, Karla admitted. Good things or bad things? Both. Maya nodded seriously. Sometimes places are like that. They have happy memories and sad memories all mixed up together. That's exactly right. But you know what I think? Maya asked. What? I think maybe going back to a place can help you make new memories that aren't so scary. As Karla looked at her wise, hopeful daughter, she realized Maya might be right. Maybe it was time to stop being afraid of Chicago. Maybe it was time to go back and see what was waiting for them there. When do you want to leave? Karla asked. Maya grinned. How about next weekend? Next weekend it is. As Maya cheered and started making new lists, Karla felt a strange mix of terror and excitement. In 1 week, she would be back in Chicago for the first time in 23 years. And Maya would finally have the chance to meet her hero, her father, the man who had no idea he was about to come face to face with the most important person in his life. October 2019. The Chicago trip, the drive from Milwaukee to Chicago, took 3 hours. Maya chattered excitedly for the first hour, then fell asleep with her hero report clutched against her chest. Karla drove in silence, watching the familiar highway signs appear. As the Chicago skyline came into view, Karla's hands tightened on the steering wheel. She hadn't seen those buildings in 23 years. The city looked bigger now, with new skyscrapers reaching toward the clouds. Maya woke up as they entered downtown traffic. Wow, she breathed, pressing her face to the window. It's so tall. And there are so many people. Karla had forgotten how overwhelming Chicago could feel to someone from a small city like Milwaukee. The noise, the crowds, the endless movement of cars and buses and pedestrians. They checked into their budget hotel near the Loop. The room was small but clean, with 2 beds and a view of an alley. Maya didn't care. She was too excited to complain about anything. Can we go see the Michael Jordan statue right now? Maya asked, bouncing on her bed. Let's eat lunch first, and then we'll walk over to the United Center. They found a small diner near the hotel. Maya ordered a cheeseburger and spent the entire meal studying her Chicago guidebook and asking questions. Mom, did you know the United Center can hold over 20,000 people? Can you imagine that many people all cheering at the same time? That would be very loud, Karla agreed. And look at this picture of the Michael Jordan statue. It's bronze and it's 12 feet tall. Maya showed Karla the guidebook photo. Karla had seen pictures of the statue before, but seeing it in Maya's book made her feel strange. A statue of the man whose child was sitting across from her, so excited to see a monument to her own father. After lunch, they took the train to the United Center. Maya was fascinated by the subway system, asking questions about how the trains worked and where all the people were going. When they emerged from the station and saw the United Center, Maya stopped walking. The building was massive, even bigger than it looked in pictures. Maya stood on the sidewalk, staring up at it with wonder. He played here, she said quietly. Michael Jordan actually played basketball in that building. The bronze figure of Michael Jordan was frozen in mid-flight, his tongue out, reaching toward the basket with the ball in his hand. Around the base were the words, "The best there ever was. The best there ever will be." Maya stood in front of the statue for a long time, just looking. Can we take a picture? She asked finally. Karla took photos of Maya standing next to the statue, holding her report. Maya was smiling, but there were tears in her eyes. Are you okay, sweetie? I'm happy, Maya said. But also, I don't know. Emotional? Karla understood. Standing there looking at that statue felt overwhelming for her too. A security guard noticed them and walked over. He was an older black man with kind eyes. First time seeing the statue, he asked Maya. Yes, sir. I'm here from Milwaukee. That's a long way to come. You must be a big fan. Maya nodded. I wrote a whole report about him for school, about what makes him a hero. That's wonderful. Would you like me to take a picture of you and your mom together with the statue? They posed for photos, Maya beaming with joy. The security guard was patient and took several shots to make sure they got good ones. "You know," he said, handing Karla's phone back, "Mr. Jordan sometimes comes by here. Not often, but sometimes. Usually when it's quiet, like on weekday afternoons." Maya's eyes went wide. "Really? He comes here?" "Sure does. He likes to see how his statue is holding up," the guard said with a smile. "Of course, when he comes we try to give him privacy. Let him have his moment." As they walked away from the United Center, Maya was unusually quiet. "What are you thinking about?" Karla asked. "That guard said Michael Jordan comes to visit his own statue. That seems kind of sad." "Why sad?" "I don't know. Like maybe he misses playing basketball so much that he has to come look at a statue of himself doing it." Maya had such an interesting way of seeing things. She was probably right. They spent the rest of the afternoon walking around downtown. Maya wanted to see everything. The Bean, at Millennium Park, the Art Institute, the Chicago River. At every stop, Maya would pull out her report and read sections that related to what they were seeing. "Listen to this, Mom. It says here that Michael Jordan used to run along the lakefront to stay in shape during the off-season. They were standing on Michigan Avenue, looking toward Lake Michigan. Should we go see the lake?" Karla asked. "Can we? I've been wanting to see it since we planned this trip." They walked toward the water. As they got closer, Karla felt her stomach get tight. Lake Michigan looked the same as it had 23 years ago. Gray-blue water stretching to the horizon, with sailboats dotting the surface. Maya ran ahead to the railing that separated the walkway from the beach. "Mom, it's like an ocean. I can't see the other side." Karla caught up to Maya and stood beside her. The wind off the lake was cold and smelled like fish and wet sand. "It's beautiful," Maya said softly. "Yes, it is." They walked along the lakefront path for a while. Maya collected smooth stones and watched the waves crash against the rocks. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Earlier when we were at the hotel, you seemed nervous about being in Chicago, but now you seem more relaxed. Why?" Karla thought about how to answer. Sometimes places can feel scary in your memory, but when you actually go back, they're not as scary as you thought. "Is that what happened to you?" "Maybe." Maya nodded. "I think that happens to me too sometimes. Like when I was afraid to start high school, but then it turned out to be okay." "This is delicious," Maya said, twirling spaghetti on her fork. "I can see why he likes Italian food." After dinner, they walked back to their hotel. The city lights were beautiful at night, and Maya took pictures with Karla's phone. "Mom, this has been the best day ever," Maya said, as they got ready for bed. "I'm so glad you're enjoying it. What are we gonna do tomorrow?" They had planned to visit Navy Pier in the morning, then head home in the afternoon. "Navy Pier," Karla said, trying to keep her voice casual. "I can't wait. Do you think—" Maya paused. "What? Do you think there's any chance we might actually see him? Michael Jordan?" Karla's heart skipped a beat. "Maya, Chicago has almost 3 million people. The chances are very, very small." "I know. But what if? What if what? What if we do see him? What would you do?" It was such an innocent question, but it made Karla's chest tight. "I guess I'd let you say hello if you wanted to." Maya smiled. "I think I'd be too nervous to say anything. But maybe I could give him my report. Maybe." Maya was quiet for a moment. "Mom, even if we don't see him, this trip has been perfect. Thank you for bringing me here." "You're welcome, sweetie." As Maya fell asleep, Karla lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow they would go to Navy Pier, the place where she and Michael used to walk and talk about their dreams. What would happen if they actually did run into him? What would she say? What would Maya do? And more importantly, what would Michael do when he saw the daughter he never knew he had? Karla finally fell asleep around midnight, but her dreams were full of lakeshores and old conversations, and a little girl with her father's smile. Navy Pier, October. Maya woke up early, too excited to sleep. She had been dreaming about meeting Michael Jordan, and when she opened her eyes, she remembered they were going to Navy Pier today. "Mom, are you awake?" she whispered. Karla was already awake, staring at the ceiling. She had barely slept at all. "I'm awake, sweetie. Can we go to Navy Pier right after breakfast? I want to see everything." Karla's stomach was full of butterflies. but she couldn't disappoint Maya. Of course, they ate breakfast at the hotel restaurant. Maya was too nervous to eat much, but she kept talking about all the things she wanted to see at the pier. Did you know Navy Pier has a Ferris wheel that's 19.6 feet tall? And there are shops and restaurants and boat tours? That sounds wonderful, Karla said, pushing eggs around on her plate. And Mom, I brought my report with me, just in case. Maya patted her backpack. Inside was her carefully written hero project, folded neatly in a plastic folder. You never know, Maya said hopefully. The train ride to Navy Pier felt both too long and too short. Maya bounced in her seat, watching Chicago pass by the windows. Karla felt like she might throw up. When they emerged from the station, Maya gasped. Look, Mom. There it is. Navy Pier stretched out into Lake Michigan like a giant playground. The Ferris wheel turned slowly against the gray October sky. People walked everywhere. Families with children, teenagers, tourists with cameras. It's bigger than I thought it would be, Maya said, eyes wide. They walked toward the entrance. Karla felt like she was walking through a dream. Everything looked familiar but different. Some buildings were new, some had been painted different colors. But the lake was the same. The wind was the same. Where should we go first? Maya asked. Wherever you want, honey. Maya chose the Ferris wheel. They stood in line for 20 minutes. Maya chattering about Michael Jordan the whole time. Do you think he's ever been on this Ferris wheel? She asked. Maybe, Karla said weakly. From the top of the wheel, they could see all of Chicago spread out behind them. The lake stretched endlessly ahead. Maya took pictures with Karla's phone, trying to capture everything. This is amazing, Maya shouted over the wind. I can see everything from up here. After the Ferris wheel, they walked through the shops. Maya bought a postcard for her teacher and a small Chicago keychain. She was saving most of her money, just in case they found something special later. Around noon, they decided to walk outside along the pier that stretched into the lake. I want to see the boats, Maya said, and maybe feed the seagulls if we can find some. The wooden walkway was crowded with people enjoying the cool but sunny October day. Street musicians played near the entrance. Families pushed strollers and took selfies with the skyline behind them. Maya ran ahead to the railing, where she could see the water better. Karla followed more slowly, her heart pounding. This was where she and Michael used to walk. Right here, along this same railing. They had talked about their dreams and fears while watching boats sail across the lake. Mom, look! There are seagulls everywhere. Maya was pointing at a flock of birds diving for scraps near a hot dog cart. She clapped her hands with delight every time one of the birds swooped down. They're so funny, Maya laughed. Look how they fight over the food. Karla smiled despite her nervousness. Maya's joy was impossible to resist. Can we buy some crackers to feed them? Maya asked. I don't think we're supposed to feed the birds, honey. Oh, that's okay. I like just watching them. They stood at the railing for a while. Maya pointing out different boats and asking questions about everything she saw. A tour boat passed by, and Maya waved at the passengers. Some of them waved back. People in Chicago are so friendly, Maya observed. That's when Karla heard a familiar sound behind them. A deep laugh that she remembered from 23 years ago. She turned around slowly, her heart stopping. There he was. Michael Jordan was walking along the pier with 3 men in suits who were obviously security guards. He wore a black baseball cap and dark sunglasses, but Karla would have recognized him anywhere. He looked older, of course. His face had more lines, and his hair was graying, but he still moved with that easy, athletic grace she remembered. For a moment, Karla couldn't breathe. Michael was talking on his phone, nodding at something the person on the other end was saying. He looked relaxed, like he was enjoying the quiet afternoon. Maya was still watching the seagulls, completely unaware that her hero was less than 50 feet away. Karla's first instinct was to grab Maya and walk in the other direction. They could leave right now and Maya would never know how close she had come to meeting Michael Jordan. But then Michael looked up from his phone call and saw her. Their eyes met across the crowded pier, and time stopped. Michael's face went completely white. He stopped walking so suddenly that one of his security guards bumped into him. Sir, is everything okay? The guard asked. Michael didn't answer. He was staring at Karla like he was seeing a ghost. For 10 seconds, Neither of them moved. 23 years of separation collapsed into nothing. They were just Michael and Karla again, standing by Lake Michigan. Maya finally noticed something was happening. She turned around to see what her mom was looking at. "Mom, what's wrong? You look like you've seen..." Maya's words died in her throat as she saw who was standing there. "Oh my God," she whispered. Mom, that's him. That's Michael Jordan." Maya's voice got louder. "Emma, ma'am, that's Michael Jordan." Her excited shout caused other people on the pier to turn and look. Someone pulled out a phone to take pictures. Whispers started spreading through the crowd. Michael ended his phone call and put his phone in his pocket. His security team was already moving to form a protective circle around him. But Michael held up his hand to tell them to wait. He started walking toward Karla and Maya. Maya grabbed Karla's arm so tightly it hurt. "Mom, he's coming over here. Michael Jordan is coming over here. What do I do? What do I say?" Karla couldn't speak. She watched Michael approach, seeing details she had forgotten. The way he tilted his head slightly when he was thinking. The way his eyes crinkled at the corners. The scar on his chin from a childhood accident. When Michael reached them, he knelt down so he was at Maya's eye level. "Hi there," he said gently. "I heard you calling my name." Maya's mouth opened and closed like a fish. She was completely speechless. "I'm Michael Jordan," he said with a smile. "What's your name?" I'm Maya," she finally managed to whisper. "That's a beautiful name, Maya." Maya was clutching her backpack against her chest. Inside was her hero report. But she seemed too overwhelmed to remember it. Michael stood up and looked at Karla. His expression was unreadable behind his sunglasses. "Hi," he said quietly. "Hi," Karla whispered back. Maya looked between them, confused by the strange tension in the air. "Mom, do you know him?" Maya asked. Before Karla could answer, Michael's phone buzzed with a text message. He glanced down at it and Karla saw his face change. The message was from his assistant at the children's hospital. It said, "The young patient who's been asking about you is here for her appointment today. 16-year-old girl with Down syndrome. Her family says she's your biggest fan." Michael looked from his phone to Maya, then back to his phone. Something clicked in his mind. 16 years old. Down syndrome. His biggest fan. This wasn't a coincidence. This was the girl from the hospital. The one who had been asking about him. But that would mean... Michael's hands started shaking as he put the pieces together. He looked at Karla with new understanding in his eyes. Then he looked at Maya, really looked at her for the first time. And he saw it. His mother's smile. His father's eyes. The shape of his own face when he was young. "Oh my God," Michael breathed. The moment everyone had been waiting for was finally here. Michael stared at Maya for what felt like forever. His mind was racing, putting together pieces of a puzzle he never knew existed. Maya looked nervous under his intense gaze. She hugged her backpack tighter against her chest. "Are you okay, Mr. Jordan?" Maya asked softly. "You look sad." Her question broke Michael out of his thoughts. Here was this beautiful girl, worried about a stranger's feelings, even though she was meeting her biggest hero. "I'm not sad," Michael said gently. "I'm just surprised." Maya brightened up. "Surprised that I recognized you. I've studied everything about you. I know all your statistics and your championships." "Maya," Karla interrupted quietly. "Maybe we should let Mr. Jordan enjoy his walk." But Michael held up his hand. "No, please. I'd like to hear what Maya has to say." Maya's eyes went wide. Michael Jordan wanted to listen to her. "You did? That sounds amazing. It's right here." Maya unzipped her backpack and pulled out her carefully folded report. "I brought it with me to Chicago just in case I met you." "I know that sounds silly." "It doesn't sound silly at all," Michael said. "Can I see it?" Maya handed him the report with trembling hands. Michael unfolded it carefully and began to read. As he read Maya's introduction, his expression softened. She had written about how heroes aren't just people who win games or become famous. Heroes are people who help others and never give up when things get hard. "This is really good writing, Maya," Michael said. "You put a lot of thought into this." "Thank you. It took me 3 weeks to research everything." Michael kept reading. When he got to the part where Maya wrote about learning from failure, he looked up at her. You wrote here that I taught you failure is just practice for success. Where did you learn that? From reading about when you didn't make your high school basketball team the first time. You could have given up, but you practiced harder instead. Michael nodded slowly. That's right. It was really hard when the coach told me I wasn't good enough. While Michael read her report, Maya glanced at her mom. Karla was standing very still, watching every move Michael made. Mom, are you feeling okay? Maya asked. You look pale. I'm fine, sweetie, Karla said, but her voice sounded strange. Michael looked up from the report and studied Karla's face. She looked exactly like the woman he had danned 23 years ago, just older. The same warm brown eyes. The same kind smile, though right now she looked terrified. Maya, Michael said carefully, can you tell me about your family? Maya beamed. My mom is the best mom in the world. She's a social worker who helps families with kids like me. She adopted me when I was a baby because my birth parents couldn't take care of me. Michael's heart nearly stopped. Adopted. Birth parents who couldn't take care of her. Do you know anything about your birth parents? He asked gently. Maya shook her head. Not really. Mom says they were very young and wanted me to have a good home. She says they loved me enough to find me a better life. Michael looked at Karla over Maya's head. Their eyes met, and he saw the truth written in her expression. Maya. Michael said, still looking at Karla, your mom sounds like an incredible person. She is. She works so hard to take care of me. And she brought me all the way to Chicago just because I wanted to see where you played basketball. She brought you here from where? Michael felt like the ground was shifting under his feet. Milwaukee. Karla had moved to Milwaukee after she left Chicago. That's a long way to come, Michael said. Mom said it was an expensive trip, but she wanted me to be happy. She always puts me first. Maya turned to Karla with a huge smile. Right, Mom? Karla was trying not to cry. Right, sweetie. Michael could see that Karla was struggling. This conversation was torture for her, but she was letting it happen because it was making Maya happy. Maya, can I ask you something personal? Michael said. Sure. How old are you? Michael did the math in his head. If Maya was 16 now, she would have been born in early 2003. But that didn't match with when he and Karla… Wait, what if Karla had lied about the miscarriage? What if she had hidden the pregnancy and given birth in secret? Michael's hands started shaking again. Maya, do you mind if I talk to your mom privately for just a minute, he asked. Maya looked confused. Why do you want to talk to my mom? Just adult stuff. Nothing important. Maya looked at Karla, who nodded. Okay. Can I go look at the boats while you talk? Stay where we can see you, Karla said. Maya walked about 20 feet away to the railing. She was still close enough that they could watch her, but far enough that she couldn't hear their conversation. Michael and Karla faced each other for the first time in 23 years. Hello, Karla, Michael said quietly. Hello, Michael. She's mine, isn't she? Karla's eyes filled with tears. For a moment, she couldn't speak. Karla, please. I need to know the truth. Yes, Karla whispered. She's yours. Michael felt like he had been hit by a truck. His legs went weak and he had to lean against the railing for support. You lied about the miscarriage. I had to. You made it clear that the pregnancy was a disaster. You were worried about your career and your marriage and your reputation. I knew you didn't want the baby, but I had a right to know. Keep your voice down, Karla hissed, glancing at Maya. She doesn't know. Michael looked at Maya, who was happily watching seagulls dive for food scraps. His daughter, his 16-year-old daughter who had been living 20 minutes away from his house in North Carolina for years, and he had never known she existed. Because I was protecting her. Do you have any idea what it would have been like for her to grow up as Michael Jordan's secret daughter? The media attention, the speculation, the pressure. Michael wanted to argue, but deep down he knew Karla was probably right. I would have protected her. Would you? Or would you have wanted me to keep quiet about it? Michael didn't have an answer for that. 23 years ago, he probably would have wanted to keep it quiet. She's incredible, Karla. Look at her. She's smart and kind and happy. I know she is. I raised her. They both looked at Maya, who was now trying to get a seagull to eat a cracker from her hand. Does she know anything? Anything at all? Nothing. She thinks she's adopted. She thinks her birth parents were teenagers who couldn't take care of her. And she has no idea that I'm… Michael watched Maya laugh as the seagull finally took the cracker from her fingers. She loves me, he said with wonder. She actually loves me and she doesn't even know I'm her father. She's loved you her whole life, Karla said softly. Your posters are all over her bedroom. She knows every statistic about your career. She defends you when other kids say someone else is the greatest player ever. Michael's eyes filled with tears. I missed everything, didn't I? Her first steps, her first words, birthdays, school plays. Michael, don't do this to yourself. Do what? Feel sad that I lost 16 years with my daughter? Maya noticed them looking at her and waved. Both Michael and Karla waved back. What happens now? Michael asked. I don't know. That's up to you. Maya started walking back toward them. And Michael realized he had to make the biggest decision of his life. Should he tell Maya the truth? Should he walk away and pretend this never happened? Or should he do something else entirely? As Maya approached with a huge smile on her face, Michael made his choice. Michael knelt down so he was at Maya's eye level again. His heart was pounding, but his voice was calm. Maya, I need to ask you something important. Okay, Maya said, still glowing from her encounter with her hero. How would you feel if I told you that sometimes adults make mistakes because they're scared? Maya tilted her head, thinking, everyone makes mistakes. That's how you learn, right? That's right, very smart. Michael looked up at Karla, who was watching with wide, frightened eyes. Then he looked back at Maya. What if I told you that sometimes people don't get to know each other even though they should have? Not because they didn't want to, but because life got complicated. Maya was listening carefully, the way she always did when adults talked about serious things. Like when my friend Sarah's parents got divorced and her dad moved far away. Maya asked. She said it wasn't because he didn't love her. Yes? Exactly like that. Michael took a deep breath. He could feel Karla's tension, but he had made his decision. Maya, there's something your mom needs to tell you about your birth parents. Maya looked confused. My birth parents? But Mom already told me about them. Karla stepped forward quickly. Michael, maybe we should… No, Michael said gently, but firmly. She deserves to know the truth. He stood up and put his hand on Maya's shoulder. Maya, your mom is amazing. She's raised you with so much love and given you everything you needed. But there's a part of your story that she hasn't been able to tell you yet. Maya looked between Michael and Karla, starting to sense that something big was happening. What part? Maya asked quietly. Karla's eyes were full of tears now. She knelt down next to Michael so she was at Maya's level too. Honey, Karla said, her voice shaking. You know how I told you that your birth parents were very young and couldn't take care of you? Maya nodded. Well, that was partly true. But there's more to the story. Maya waited patiently. She could tell this was hard for her mom to say. Your birth father. He's not some teenager I never met. Maya frowned. He's not? No, sweetie. Your birth father is standing right here. Maya looked at Michael, then back at Karla. Then at Michael again. I don't understand. Michael's voice was gentle. Maya, I'm your dad, your biological father. For a moment, Maya just stared at him. Then she looked at Karla. Mom, is that true? Karla nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, baby. It's true. Maya was quiet for a long time, processing this information. Michael and Karla waited, both holding their breath. Finally, Maya spoke. So you're not just my hero, she said to Michael. You're my actual dad? Yes. And Mom, you're not just my adoptive mom. You're my real mom too. Yes, sweetheart. I gave birth to you. You're my biological daughter. Maya sat down on a nearby bench, looking overwhelmed. Why didn't you tell me? She asked. Karla sat down next to her. Because I was scared. When you were born, your dad is very famous. I was worried that if people knew you were his daughter, your life would be too hard. What do you mean? Michael sat down on Maya's other side. She means that being my daughter would have brought a lot of attention. Cameras, reporters, people asking you questions all the time. Maya thought about this. Like how people are taking pictures of us right now. They all looked around. Sure enough, tourists were discreetly taking photos of Michael Jordan sitting on a bench with a woman and a teenager. Exactly like that, Karla said. But imagine it happening everywhere you went. School, the grocery store, when you were just trying to play with friends. Maya nodded slowly. That would be hard. And when the doctors told us you had Down syndrome, Karla continued, I was even more worried. Some people might not have been kind about it. You were protecting me, Maya said. It wasn't a question. I was trying to. Maya looked at Michael. Did you know about me at all? Michael's throat felt tight. No. Your mom let me think. She let me think something different had happened. I didn't know you existed until today. So you weren't choosing not to be my dad. You just didn't know I was alive. That's right. Maya was quiet again, thinking hard. Are you upset that I have Down syndrome? She asked. Michael directly. The question hit him like a punch to the heart. Maya, no, absolutely not. You are perfect exactly as you are. Some people think kids like me are mistakes. Those people are wrong. You are not a mistake. You're incredible. Maya smiled for the first time since the conversation started. Good. Because I like who I am. You should like who you are, Michael said. You're smart, kind, curious, and brave. Those are the most important things a person can be. Maya looked at both her parents sitting next to her. So what happens now? It was such a simple question, but it was the one they all needed to answer. What do you want to happen? Karla asked. Maya thought carefully. I want to keep living with Mom. She's my real mom, no matter what. Of course, Michael said immediately. No one would ever change that. Maya, I would love nothing more than to get to know you. But I don't want to be famous. I don't want reporters following me around or people asking me questions about being your daughter. I understand. I'll do everything I can to protect your privacy. Maya nodded. And I want you both to promise me something. What? Both parents asked at the same time. Promise me you won't fight about the past. Mom did what she thought was best for me, and you, Dad. She paused, trying out the word. You didn't know, so you couldn't make different choices. Michael and Karla looked at each other over Maya's head. She's right, Michael said to Karla. You were protecting her. I understand that now. And you have every right to be hurt that you missed so much, Karla replied. Maya stood up from the bench. Good. Now can I ask you something, Dad? Hearing her call him Dad made Michael's chest feel warm and tight at the same time. Anything. Will you sign my report? I know the whole story is different now, but you're still my hero. Actually, you're even more my hero now. Why? Maya grinned. Because now I know that heroes can be regular people who make mistakes and learn from them. And heroes can be dads who didn't know about their kids, but want to know them when they find out. Michael took Maya's report with shaking hands. He found a pen in his jacket pocket. At the bottom of the last page, under Maya's signature, he wrote, To Maya, you are the best thing I never knew I had. Thank you for teaching me what it really means to be a hero. Love, Dad. As Maya read what he had written, tears filled her eyes. This is the best day of my whole life, she said. She hugged Michael tightly. And then she hugged Karla. Can we take a picture together? Maya asked. All three of us? As a stranger offered to take their photo, the three of them stood together by the lake where it all began. They looked like what they had always been, even when they didn't know it. They looked like a family. As the stranger handed back Karla's phone with their family photo, Maya was practically bouncing with excitement. I can't believe this is real, she said, looking at the picture on the screen. Look, we actually look like a family. Michael studied the photo over her shoulder. Maya was right. Despite everything that had kept them apart, there was something natural about the three of them together. Maya, Michael said, I have an idea. Instead of going home this afternoon, what if you and your mom stayed in Chicago for a few more days? We could spend some time getting to know each other. Maya's eyes lit up. Really? Mom? Could we? Karla hesitated. Michael, that's very generous, but our hotel room is pretty basic. I'll take care of all that. You can stay at a nice hotel downtown. We can go to dinner, see more of the city, whatever you want. Maya looked at Karla with pleading eyes. Please. Mom, this is like a dream come true. I don't know if we should impose. You're not imposing, Michael said firmly. Karla, I just found out I have a daughter. A wonderful, amazing daughter who I've missed 16 years with. If you'll let me, I'd like to start making up for some of that time. Karla looked at Maya's hopeful face. then at Michael's sincere expression. "Okay," she said finally. "We can stay a few more days." Maya squealed and hugged both her parents. Over the next hour, they walked around Navy Pier together. Maya was in heaven, chatting with Michael about everything from basketball to her favorite books. Michael listened to every word, amazed by how smart and funny his daughter was. "Dad," Maya said as they watched boats in the harbor, "can I ask you something personal?" "Of course. Do you have other kids? Like, am I gonna have brothers or sisters I don't know about?" Michael smiled. "I have 3 other children with my wife Yvette, twin daughters who are 8, and a son who's 6. Maya's face fell slightly. "Ugh, so they're your real family." "Maya, look at me," Michael said, stopping to face her. "You are my real family too. You are my first child, and you're just as important as any of my other children, but they get to live with you and see you every day." "That's true. And I'm sorry about that. But that doesn't make you less important to me." Maya nodded, but Michael could see she was still worried about where she fit in. "How about this?" Michael said. "When we get back to Charlotte, I'll talk to Vivette and the kids about you. If you want to meet them, we can arrange that." "Would they want to meet me?" "Maya, you're going to be the coolest big sister they could ask for." That evening, Michael took them to dinner at one of Chicago's nicest restaurants. Maya was nervous about the fancy atmosphere at first, but the staff treated her like royalty when they realized she was with Michael Jordan. "This is the best food I've ever eaten," Maya declared, trying her first bite of lobster. "I'm glad you like it," Michael said. "We can come here again tomorrow night if you want." "Tomorrow night? I was thinking we could spend tomorrow together too. Maybe visit the Bulls practice facility, meet some of my old teammates who still work there." Maya nearly choked on her lobster. "Are you serious? I could meet other Bulls players? If you want to." "Mom, did you hear that? I'm gonna meet actual Chicago Bulls." Karla laughed. "I heard, sweetie." After dinner, Michael walked them back to their new hotel suite. It was in one of Chicago's fanciest buildings, with a view of the lake and rooms bigger than their apartment back home. "This is too much, Michael," Karla said as they stood in the elegant lobby. "It's not too much, it's the least I can do." As they waited for the elevator, Maya yawned. "I think someone's getting tired," Karla observed. "It's been the biggest day of my life," Maya said. "I found out my hero is my dad, and my mom is actually my real mom, and I'm going to meet more basketball players tomorrow." When the elevator arrived, Michael hugged them both goodnight. "Thank you," he said to Karla quietly, "for raising her so well, for bringing her here, for giving me this chance." "Thank you for being so good to her," Karla replied. "Dad," Maya said sleepily, "will you really be here tomorrow? This isn't just a dream?" "I'll be here, sweetheart. This isn't a dream." The next day was even more magical than the first. Michael picked them up for breakfast, then drove them to the Bulls practice facility. Maya got to shoot baskets on the same court where her father had practiced for 6 championships. "Look, Mom," Maya called out as she made a shot. "I made a basket on Michael Jordan's court." Several of Michael's former teammates were there, and they were charmed by Maya's enthusiasm and basketball knowledge. "She knows more about the game than some players I know," laughed Steve Kerr, who was visiting Chicago. That afternoon, they went to the Children's Hospital where Michael did his charity work. Maya immediately connected with the young patients, sharing her Michael Jordan facts and making them laugh. "She's a natural with kids," Dr. Martinez told Michael. Just like her father. Watching Maya with the sick children, Michael felt his heart swell with pride. This was his daughter. His amazing, caring, wonderful daughter. That evening, as they had dinner at another fancy restaurant, Maya made an announcement. "I've been thinking about something all day," she said. "What's that, honey?" Karla asked. "I want to finish my school project differently now." "How so?" Michael asked. "I want to add a new section about how heroes can be in your family without you knowing it, and about how sometimes the best surprises come when you're not looking for them." Maya looked at both her parents. "Is that okay? If I write about finding out you're my dad?" "Maya, you can write about anything you want," Michael said. "But are you sure? Once you turn that in, people at school might figure out who your father is." Maya thought about this seriously. "Maybe that's okay. Miss Jennifer always says we should be proud of who we are." "And who are you?" Karla asked gently. Maya smiled. I'm Maya Knafel. I'm 16 years old. I have Down syndrome. And that's okay because it makes me see the world differently. I have the best mom in Milwaukee and the most famous dad in basketball. And I'm really, really lucky. He had spent his whole career trying to be perfect, trying to hide his mistakes and weaknesses. But Maya was teaching him that being real was more important than being perfect. I'm the lucky one, Michael said. I'm lucky to have you as my daughter. But even as they enjoyed their perfect family dinner, Michael still didn't know the biggest secret of all. The secret that Karla had never told him about that day in the hospital 16 years ago. The secret that would change everything he thought he knew about the past. The next morning, Michael picked up Karla and Maya for breakfast at their hotel. They had planned to visit Millennium Park before Maya and Karla drove back to Milwaukee that afternoon. But as they sat in the hotel restaurant, Michael could tell something was bothering Karla. She was quiet and kept staring out the window. Maya was happily eating pancakes and talking about how she couldn't wait to tell her friends about meeting her dad. Miss Jennifer is going to be so surprised when I tell her about my project, Maya said. She's going to think I made the whole story up. Maybe you should wait a little while before you tell people, Karla said carefully. Why? Just to make sure you're ready for all the attention it might bring. Maya looked confused. But Dad said it was okay. Michael noticed the tension in Karla's voice. Is everything all right? I'm fine, Karla said, but she didn't look fine. After breakfast, they walked through Millennium Park. Maya posed for pictures with the bean and asked Michael to tell her stories about Chicago but Michael kept watching Karla. She seemed nervous about something, and he couldn't figure out what. When Maya ran ahead to look at the fountain, Michael walked beside Karla. What's wrong? He asked quietly. Nothing's wrong. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I keep thinking about what Maya said last night. About being proud of who she is. That's a good thing, isn't it? Yes, it is. But Michael, there are parts of her story that she doesn't know. Parts that I've never told anyone. Michael felt a chill. What parts? Karla looked at Maya, who was throwing coins into the fountain and making wishes. Can we talk somewhere private, just for a few minutes? They found a quiet bench while Maya continued exploring the fountain area. She was still close enough that they could see her, but far enough that she couldn't hear their conversation. What is it, Karla? Michael asked. Karla took a deep breath. You asked me yesterday if I lied about the miscarriage. And you said yes. That's not exactly true. I did have a miscarriage, Michael, in March of 1996. Exactly when I told you. But then how? The words hit Michael like lightning. What? The first time in December of 1995 I was pregnant. That's what I was trying to tell you at the cafe that day when your wife called. Michael's mind was racing. And I lost that baby in March, just like I told you. But Michael, in April, do you remember that last time we saw each other? Michael did remember. They had met one final time to say goodbye. They had both been emotional. It had been a mistake. They both knew it. But they couldn't help themselves. Oh my God, Michael whispered. I found out I was pregnant again in June. By then you had won another championship. You were more famous than ever. Your marriage seemed to be doing better. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was terrified. I had just been through losing one baby and dealing with that pain alone. The thought of going through another pregnancy knowing it would be even more complicated this time. Karla wiped tears from her eyes. So I disappeared. I moved to Milwaukee and never looked back. Michael stared at her, trying to process what she was telling him. So Maya wasn't born in... No. She was born in February 1997. She's 22 years old, Michael. Not 16. But her Down syndrome. She seems younger. People with Down syndrome often seem younger than their actual age. And Maya has always been small for her age anyway. When I enrolled her in school in Milwaukee, I changed her birth year. You what? I told them she was born in 2003 instead of 1997. I gave her a fake birthday. It made her seem like a normal 16-year-old instead of a 22-year-old with developmental delays. Michael put his head in his hands. Karla, do you realize what this means? What? I've missed 22 years, not 16. Maya is an adult. She's been an adult for 4 years, and I didn't know she existed. They both looked at Maya, who was still happily throwing coins and making wishes. Does she know? Michael asked. No. She thinks she's 16. Everyone thinks she's 16. Her teachers, her friends, even her doctors in Milwaukee. But her real birthday is February 14th, 1997. Valentine's Day. Michael felt tears in his eyes. His daughter was born on Valentine's Day and he had missed every single birthday. "Why are you telling me this now?" he asked. "Because last night when Maya talked about being proud of who she is, I realized I've been lying to her about something really important. Her age, her birthday, even what grade she should be in school." "What grade is she in?" "She's in a special program for kids with disabilities. They don't really do traditional grades, but she should probably be in college programs for adults with special needs, not high school programs." Michael was quiet for a long time, watching his 22-year-old daughter act like the teenager she thought she was. "She's gonna be devastated when she finds out," he said. "I know, but I can't keep lying to her. Especially not now that you're in her life." "When are you going to tell her?" "I don't know. Maybe when we get back to Milwaukee. Maybe I should wait until she's ready." "Karla, she's 22 years old. She's been ready." Maya came running back to them, her face glowing with excitement. "Mom, Dad, I made 3 wishes in the fountain." "What did you wish for?" Michael asked, trying to keep his voice normal. "I can't tell you, or they won't come true. But they were all about our family." Michael looked at Karla. They both realized that Maya's wishes were probably about things that were more complicated than she knew. "Are you ready to head back to the hotel?" Karla asked. "We should start driving home soon." "Already? But I don't want to leave yet." "I know, sweetie, but we both have school and work tomorrow." Maya's face fell. "When will I see Dad again?" Michael knelt down to her level. "How about I come visit you in Milwaukee next weekend?" "Really? Really? We can spend the whole weekend together." Maya hugged him tightly. "This is the best week of my whole life." As they walked back to the hotel, Michael's mind was spinning with questions. How do you tell someone that everything they think they know about themselves is wrong? How do you tell a 22-year-old that she's been living as a 16-year-old for years? And most importantly, how do you make up for 22 years of missed birthdays, missed holidays, missed opportunities to be a father? But as he watched Maya skip ahead of them, chattering happily about all her new memories, Michael realized something important. The truth about her age didn't change who Maya was. It didn't change how much he already loved her or how proud he was to be her father. But first, Maya deserved to know the truth about herself. All of it. That evening, Milwaukee. The drive back to Milwaukee was quiet. Maya slept most of the way, exhausted from the excitement of the past few days. Karla drove in silence, dreading what she knew she had to do. When they got home to their small apartment, Maya immediately ran to her room to put up the photos they had taken in Chicago. "Mom, come look," she called. "I'm going to put the picture of all 3 of us right here on my desk." Karla stood in Maya's doorway, looking at the room she knew so well. The Michael Jordan posters on every wall, the basketball trophies from Special Olympics, the books and stuffed animals that Maya loved. Everything in this room was organized for a 16-year-old girl. But Maya wasn't 16. "Maya, can you come sit with me in the living room? I need to talk to you about something." "Is it about Dad? When is he coming to visit?" "It's about a lot of things, sweetheart." Maya sat on the couch next to Karla, still glowing from their Chicago trip. "What is it, Mom?" Karla took a deep breath. "Maya, yesterday I told you the truth about your father, but there's another truth I need to tell you, about yourself." Maya's smile faded slightly. "What kind of truth? Do you remember when you were little and I used to tell you that being different made you special?" "Yes. You always said my Down syndrome was just one part of who I am." "That's right. And it is. But Maya, there's something else that makes you different. Something I should have told you a long time ago." Maya was listening carefully now, sensing the seriousness in her mother's voice. "What is it?" "Maya, do you know what your real birthday is?" "February 14th. Valentine's Day. You always said I was your Valentine baby." "That part is true. You were born on Valentine's Day. But Maya, you weren't born in..." Maya frowned. "What do you mean?" "You were born on February 14th, 1997. You're not 16 years old, sweetheart. You're 22. Maya stared at her mother for a long moment. Then she shook her head. "That can't be right. I'm in high school. I'm 16. I know it's confusing. But Maya, I changed your age when we moved to Milwaukee. I told everyone you were younger than you really were. But why would you do that? Karla's voice was shaking. Because I thought it would be easier for you. People with Down syndrome sometimes develop differently than other people. I thought if everyone believed you were younger, they would be more patient with you. Maya was quiet for a long time, trying to understand. So I'm not a teenager. No, honey, you're an adult. You have been for 4 years. But I feel like a teenager. And that's okay. There's no rule that says adults have to feel a certain way. Maya stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the street, where she had played as a child. Does Dad know? He knows now. I told him today. Maya turned around. Is that why you were acting weird at breakfast? Sometimes Maya's perceptiveness amazed Karla. Yes, I was nervous about telling both of you the truth. What other things have you lied to me about? The question was direct and honest, exactly the way Maya always asked difficult questions. Nothing else important, just your age and birthday year. Maya sat back down on the couch. So when other kids my age were graduating high school, I was still in middle school. Yes. And when they were starting college, I was starting high school. Yes. Maya was quiet again, processing this information. Am I stupid? She asked finally. What? Maya? No. Why would you think that? Because if I'm really 22 but I act like I'm 16, maybe that means I'm not smart enough to be an adult. Karla's heart broke. Maya, listen to me. You are not stupid. You are one of the smartest people I know. But no buts. Maya, people with Down syndrome learn and grow at their own pace. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people are ready for college at 18. Some people aren't ready until they're 25 or 30. Everyone is different. Maya thought about this. So I'm not behind, I'm just on my own schedule? Exactly. And being 22 doesn't mean I have to act like other 22-year-olds. Not at all. You get to be exactly who you are. Maya was quiet for several minutes. Karla waited, letting her daughter process everything. Finally, Maya spoke. Mom, I have some questions. Ask me anything. First question. If I'm really 22, does that mean I can make my own decisions about things? Like adult decisions? Karla hesitated. This was the question she had been dreading. Yes, Maya. Legally, you're an adult. You can make your own choices. Okay, second question. Are you going to keep treating me like I'm 16 or are you going to start treating me like I'm 22? How do you want to be treated? Maya smiled for the first time since the conversation started. I want to be treated like Maya. Same as always. But I also want to know that you trust me to make good choices. I do trust you to make good choices. Good. Third question. Does this change anything about Dad? What do you mean? I mean, he missed 22 years instead of 16 years. Is he going to be more sad about that? It makes me feel sad for him. But Mom, he still missed the same amount of my life, right? It doesn't matter if it was 16 years or 22 years. He still missed all the important stuff. That's true. And he still wants to be my dad now, right? That's what matters. Yes, that's what matters. Maya nodded decisively. Okay. Fourth question. What happens now? What do you mean? I mean, do I have to change schools? Do I have to get a job? Do I have to move out and get my own apartment? These were all excellent questions. Questions that Karla hadn't fully thought through. Maya, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. If you want to stay in your current school program, that's fine. If you want to look into adult programs, that's fine too. What about college? Am I too old for college now? Maya, you're never too old for college. There are lots of programs for adults with disabilities who want to learn new things. Maya's eyes lit up. Really? I could go to college? If you want to. I've always wondered what college was like. But I thought I had to wait until I finished high school. Well, now you know you have options. Maya jumped up from the couch. Mom, can I call Dad and tell him I know about being 22? Are you sure you're ready for that conversation? Yes. I want him to know that I'm not upset about missing more years. I want him to know that I understand. Maya paused. And I want to ask him something. What? I want to ask him if he thinks I'm ready to meet my little brothers and sister. Because if I'm really 22, maybe I'm old enough to be a good big sister. Karla felt tears in her eyes. Even with everything Maya had learned tonight, she was thinking about others. I think you'd be an amazing big sister. Maya hugged Karla tightly. Thank you for telling me the truth, even though it was scary. Thank you for being so understanding. Mom, can I ask you one more thing? Of course. Next year when it's really my birthday, can we have a big party? Like a 23rd birthday party instead of a 17th birthday party. Karla laughed through her tears. Maya, we can have the biggest 23rd birthday party you want. Good. And can Dad be there? I'm sure he'd love to be there. As Maya went to call Michael, Karla realized something important. She had been protecting Maya for 22 years, making decisions for her, trying to keep her safe. But Maya didn't need that kind of protection anymore. She was an adult who could handle the truth, make her own choices, and face whatever came next. Maya had always been wise beyond her years. Now Karla finally understood that Maya was wise enough to be exactly who she was meant to be. Age was just a number. Maturity came from the heart. And Maya had the biggest, wisest heart of anyone Karla knew. 6 months later, February 4th, the banquet room at the Milwaukee Marriott was decorated with red and white balloons. A large banner hung across the back wall that read, "Happy 23rd Birthday, Maya." Maya stood in the middle of the room, wearing a beautiful red dress that Michael had bought for her. She was greeting guests as they arrived for her birthday party. Her real birthday party. "Miss Jennifer," Maya called out as her favorite teacher walked in. "Thank you for coming. I wouldn't miss it for the world." Maya. 23. Can you believe it? Maya grinned. "I'm finally catching up to my real age." "Maya, you look beautiful," said Dr. Chen, walking over with her husband. "Thank you for coming, Dr. Chen. Mom says you helped her adopt me when I was a baby." "Best decision your mom ever made," Dr. Chen said with a smile. The room was filling up with people from all parts of Maya's life. Her classmates from the college program. Her coworkers from her new part-time job at the Milwaukee Art Museum, where she gave tours to school groups, friends from Special Olympics basketball, where she had just helped her team win the state championship. But Maya kept looking toward the entrance, waiting for the most important guests. "They'll be here soon," Karla said, walking up behind her daughter. "I know. I'm just excited." At exactly 6 o'clock, Michael Jordan walked through the doors, followed by his wife Yvette and their 3 children. Maya took a deep breath and walked over to meet them. "Hi, Dad." "Hi, birthday girl." Michael hugged her tightly. 23 looks good on you." Over the past 6 months, Maya and Michael had grown incredibly close. He visited Milwaukee every few weeks. Maya had spent several weekends in Charlotte meeting her new family. Maya called 8-year-old Victoria, running over to hug her big sister. "We brought you presents." "Did you bring the thing we made?" asked Victoria's twin sister, Isabel. "It's in the car," said 6-year-old Jeffrey. "Dad said we have to wait until after dinner to give it to you." Maya had fallen in love with her younger siblings immediately. They didn't care that she had Down syndrome or that she was older than most college freshmen. They just knew she was their big sister who told great stories and always had time to play with them. "How are the college classes going?" Yvette asked Maya. "Really good. I'm getting A's in art class. And my teacher says I might be able to have my own art show next year." "That's wonderful, Maya." Maya had worried about meeting Yvette, but Michael's wife had welcomed her with open arms. She treated Maya like she had always been part of the family. "Maya," Michael said, "there's someone else I'd like you to meet." He gestured toward the entrance, where Maya saw a tall, elegant older woman walking in. "That's your grandmother," Michael said. "My mom, Dolores." Maya's eyes went wide. She had never met any grandparents before. Dolores Jordan walked straight to Maya and took her hands. "My dear girl," she said with tears in her eyes, "I have been waiting 23 years to meet you." "Really? Really? You look just like your father did when he was young." Maya beamed with pride. "Everyone says that, and I hear you're just as stubborn as he was too." Maya laughed. "Mom says I get that from both sides of the family." As the party got into full swing, Maya moved from table to table, talking to everyone. She was fine and happy, completely comfortable being the center of attention. "Look at her," Karla said to Michael as they watched Maya give a speech thanking everyone for coming. "She's incredible," Michael replied. "Karla, you did such an amazing job raising her." "We did an amazing job. You've been a wonderful father these past few months." It was true. Despite missing the first 22 years of Maya's life, Michael had thrown himself into being her dad. He called her every few days, He came to her college events. He had even learned about Down syndrome so he could better understand her needs. "I have an announcement," Maya said into the microphone. "Some of you know that this year has been full of surprises for me. I found out who my birth father is. I learned my real age, and I started college." The room was quiet, listening to every word. But the biggest surprise has been learning that families can grow at any time. It doesn't matter if you're 16 or 23 or 56 like my dad. Michael laughed along with everyone else. 6 months ago, I thought my family was just me and my mom. Now I have a dad, a stepmom, 3 little siblings, and a grandmother who spoils me. Maya looked directly at Michael. "Dad, thank you for wanting to be my father even though you missed my childhood. Thank you for not being scared of my Down syndrome. And thank you for showing me that it's never too late to start over." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. "And Mom," Maya continued, looking at Karla, "thank you for protecting me when I needed protecting. Thank you for loving me enough to let me make my own choices when I was ready. And thank you for bringing me to Chicago, even though you were scared." Maya paused. "I have one more surprise for everyone." She reached under the podium and pulled out a bound book. "Remember my hero project from school? The one about Dad? Well, I finished it. But instead of just turning it in, I made it into a real book." Maya held up the book so everyone could see. The cover read, "My Hero, My Father. A True Story," by Maya Jordan Knafel. "Maya Jordan Knafel?" Michael asked. "I decided to use both last names. Jordan, because you're my dad, and Knafel because Mom raised me, and I'm proud of that name too." Maya opened the book to the dedication page and read aloud. "This book is dedicated to my mom, who taught me that love means protecting someone even when it's hard. To my dad, who taught me that heroes can make mistakes and still be heroes. And to anyone who feels different, you are exactly who you're supposed to be." The room erupted in applause. After dinner, the family gathered around as Maya opened her presents. She got art supplies, clothes, books, and gift certificates to her favorite restaurants. But the last present was the one her siblings had made. "This is from all 3 of us," Victoria said proudly. Maya unwrapped a homemade photo album. The first page had a picture of Maya with Michael, Yvette, and the 3 kids. Below it, in childish handwriting, were the words, "Our big sister Maya." The rest of the album was filled with pictures from Maya's visits to Charlotte, drawings the kids had made of her, and little notes about things they loved about their big sister. "We want you to know you're really part of our family," Jeffrey said seriously. As the party wound down and guests started to leave, Maya found herself sitting with Michael and Karla. "Can I ask you guys something?" Maya said. "Of course," they both replied. "Do you think everything happened the way it was supposed to?" "What do you mean?" Michael asked. "I mean, what if you had known about me from the beginning? What if I had grown up as your famous daughter?" Maya looked thoughtful. "Would I be the same person I am now?" It was such a profound question that both adults were quiet for a moment. "I don't know," Michael said honestly. "But I do know that you're perfect exactly as you are. And I know that even though the path was difficult, it led us all to where we needed to be," Karla added. Maya smiled. "I think so too. Because if things had been different, maybe I wouldn't have learned how to be strong. Maybe I wouldn't appreciate family as much as I do now." She looked at both her parents. Maybe everything happens for a reason, even the hard stuff. As Michael and Karla watched their daughter, wise, kind, and full of joy, they realized Maya was right. Sometimes the most beautiful stories come from the most unexpected places. And sometimes, the best families are the ones that find each other when they need each other most. Maya Jordan Knafel was living proof that love has no timeline. Heroes come in all forms, and the most important thing in life is not how your story begins. It's how your story continues. Maya's journey from hero worship to discovering her hero was actually her father. Reminds us that the most beautiful connections in life often happen when we least expect them. Her wisdom, kindness, and ability to bring healing to broken relationships shows us that heroes come in all forms. Sometimes the smallest person in the room has the biggest heart. We'd love to know, where are you listening from today? Drop a comment and let us know your city or country. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring true stories that celebrate the human spirit. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and family, because stories like Maya's remind us that spreading kindness and awareness can change lives, one heart at a time. Until next time, remember that every person you meet has a story worth knowing, and every act of love, no matter how small, has the power to heal. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next story.